Hi guys, my name is Joseph Kalimbwe, and I just wanted to comment on the video that came out yesterday in my individual capacity. That is, let me make that very clear. Now, the video that came out yesterday from Russia was very unfortunate, where we saw a head of state from within SADC issue derogatory terms, speak about things of another nation. What we saw yesterday were words that have got the potential to widen the diplomatic divide that exists and that has always existed between our two nations. Zambia and Zimbabwe have always been together throughout the period, from the time of the Rhodesia years to the times of Nyansaland. Our three nations were together. But what was spoken yesterday by the president of Zimbabwe was very unfortunate, and we must be able to correct that narrative that one nation must be able to choose the friends of another. The direct foreign policy of one nation must be pursued by that nation without another nation trying to choose the friends of that country. So Zambia has for so many years chosen peace. That is what has always defined us. From the Kaunda presidents to every other Zambian that has taken the presidential oath, our nation has always stood firm to seek peace before confrontations. That is what we are. That is what we've always pursued. And that is what Kenneth Kaunda taught us. But the words that were spoken yesterday have got the potential to widen that gap, to widen that history that we've always held. In 1975, Herbert Chitepo was bombed and he died in Zambia. He was bombed by his own comrades that wanted to take control of the leadership in Southern Rhodesia. We must be able to speak about that political history. During that time, Kenneth Kaunda was very helpful in ensuring that our nation continues to pursue the fight of independence for all other nations in the region. That's what he did when he welcomed ZAPO forces into our country. They stayed in Lusaka and they spoke our languages. That is the historical background of where we've come from, and we must continue to pursue that peace. Now, when words are being spoken, words that have got the potential to divide us are being spoken, we must correct that narrative, because these words will be listened to by the next generation of leaders, and they'll feel we are enemies when we are not. We've always been friends, and we must pursue friendships. We must pursue peace before confrontation, and we must never in any way confront each other. Diplomacy entails that we sit on the table and discuss conversations that matter. Right now, our people are facing issues of unemployment. Our people are politically facing issues that have to do with a livelihood, things that matter. This is the politics that we must pursue. We must never go across the oceans to speak ill of other nations. That should never be the politics that this region must pursue. Southern Africa is the most peaceful region on the African continent, and we must maintain that peace. We must ensure that our people can trade freely amongst themselves. And those that seek to divide us, we must correct that narrative and say peace should be the best option. And so those words that were spoken yesterday by the president of Zimbabwe, we must correct that narrative to say it was wrong for him to go to another nation and speak about the foreign policy of Zambia. Zambia is a nation that has always pursued peace. And let me say it once again, I'm speaking about this in my individual capacity, that our nation has always been that country that has fought to ensure that all other nations are free. From the time of Kaunda to every other Zambian that has taken the presidential oath and lived at our state house. That is what we've always been. And so we must be able now to transfer that political leadership to the new generation of leaders, those who take over the leadership, whether it is in Zimbabwe or in Zambia. We must never issue words and remarks that have got the potential to widen that history of where we've come from. And we must condemn those that seek to divide us. The words that were spoken yesterday were very unfortunate, especially at the time that SADC is set to meet for a SADC summit in Harare. We must unite. We must unite to ensure that our region continues to enjoy the peace that we've always enjoyed. We continue to enjoy a region that is free, that is stable, and that is able to stand on its own 2 feet. What we have learned from conflict that is happening in West Africa, that is happening in other parts of the continent, should be a backpoint, should be the backbone of us continuing to enjoy the peace that we have always enjoyed. We must learn from the mistake that others are learning, that diplomacy must be negotiated on the table, and that if people got issues, we must meet and have those issues resolved. Not speak derogatory terms about other countries. And so we must condemn in very strongest terms what was spoken yesterday in Russia, and we must continue to maintain peace, because this is the only region that is peaceful, that is strong, and that has continued to stand on its own 2 feet, despite of all these other things. Look at what is happening in Mozambique. In Mozambique, there are terrorists that have always destroyed the livelihood of the people in the Cabo Delgado province. We must learn from that. We must learn from the political events that are happening and not repeat them. So going forward, we must continue to maintain the peace, and we must speak about those that seek to divide us and say this is the region of peace, this is the region that seeks to pursue that peace, and we're going to pursue it to ensure that our people are free, they are stable, and they are able to stand on its own 2 feet without being divided by any person whatsoever, whether that person is the president or not, whether that person is a cleaner or a gardener, whether that person is a politician or not. Ours must be to maintain the peace and ensure that we deliver safely this region to the next generation of its leaders, particularly in our two nations that have always maintained peace. Thank you.
So this is what Joseph Kalimbwe said, and this was in response to what President Emmerson Mnangagwa said while he was in Russia. And it's so said that we had to go this way. But we often believe that Zambia and Zimbabwe are going to find each other, because we really need each other. We cannot live without each other. And that remains a fact. So this is what is happening. This is what Joseph Kalimbwe said in response to what President Emmerson Mnangagwa has said. And it's a sad situation, and we do not know the reason why they had to go far like that. So if war is to come, who is going to suffer? The people of Zimbabwe will suffer. And I don't believe that there is need for Zimbabwe and Zambia to be confronting each other at any point in time. Yes, people fight here and there, people say all sorts of things, but when it is coming from the president of a republic, then it becomes a problem. We have never heard Hakainde Hichilema saying anything bad about Zimbabwe. I know that a lot of ZANU people will say, Zambians are saying ABCD about us. Zambians might say whatever they want, and the Zimbabweans might say whatever they want against Zambia, but it can't be the president of Zambia, it can't be the president of Zimbabwe going on international forums to say such things. There is an embassy in Zambia, a Zimbabwean embassy in Zambia. If there are issues, Zimbabwe, the reason why they established that embassy is to pursue interests of Zimbabwe in Zambia. They would simply send Charity Charamba to go and talk to the Zambian government, because that is the reason why she's there, to deal with diplomatic issues. There is a foreign ministry which also deals with the issues of foreign affairs. They need to engage the foreign ministry to deal with those issues. And I believe that this is the direction they would have taken. So also, I believe that there is an embassy of Zambia right in Zimbabwe. And if the Zambian president feels that there are issues which need to be discussed, he simply engages with the Zambian embassy right here back home. So it must be an easy task other than to have such things happening. President Emmerson Mnangagwa was in Zambia recently. They would have met, ironed out their differences if there are any, and make sure that we move forward as a nation and as a region, a SADC region. So these divisions, it's no longer about Zambia alone. He also mentioned Malawi, and which means the diplomatic tension is not about one country. It's about several countries. And the major question is, what have these countries did? What did they do to you? Because if they confronted you at a SADC summit about the way you conducted the elections, that was at your level as heads of state. You're supposed to iron out your differences and end your issues there without putting the people at a risk of having a conflict. So this is what is happening. We'll continue to watch and see. And these conflicts, they might even cause to see Zambians chasing away Zimbabweans in Zambia, and these are the situations we do not want to see happening. But it's unfortunate and it's sad.